Just so you know, there's a thunderstorm going on, so hopefully we don't get too heavily interrupted by that. Hey everyone, I'm Lizberry and welcome back to my channel. This week I thought I'd get into the spirit of the spooky season and make a little witch doll to go with the tiny Amigurumi cat I made last week. I've already made a tutorial for each technique I'll be using to make this doll costume, so this will just be a quick project diary. I'll put a playlist to all of the tutorials for this project in the description below if you want to try to recreate your own. You can also find a written pattern for most of these costume pieces in my Ravelry store, which will also be linked below. Now let's get started. For my base, I'll be using my realistically shaped body doll. I'll link the tutorial for this doll down below. She'll need hair too. I have a few wig options from when I was making my doll wigs series, but I think I'll go with this one, made from black and dark country blue yarn from Caron Simply Soft. It's been in a box, so it looks a little messy, which I could fix by re-straightening and curling it, but I kind of think it adds to the character of the doll, so I'll leave it as it is. I'll also need a pointed hat. I made this shorter black and purple one a while back, which I think will do nicely since I'm planning to make the dress in the same colors. I have a pattern for this pink princess dress that I think I can adapt into the look that I want. The only difference is I made mine with 3 rows of color changes at the waist, as well as the bottom of the skirt to make it appear to be belted with a matching trim. And I made the sleeves longer and belled out at the ends. To do this, I added 11 rows after making the puffed sleeve, then increased 3 per row for 7 rows until the sleeve was a good size. When finished, you could add buttons or Velcro, but I prefer to lace up the back with a scrap of yarn, which you'll see me do later using a yarn needle. Next, I made her some striped stockings. These were super simple, just a magic circle of 6 and 1 row of increase, then a long tube changing colors every 2 rows to make the stripes. I ended up with 7 black stripes and 6 white stripes per stocking. Next, I made the slippers. I also have a tutorial for how to make shoes. I just did the same thing I did to start the shoes in that tutorial, but ended the work after the first row of decrease to make a simpler shoe. I also added a strap of 7 chains and a slip stitch to the 4th chain. Unfortunately, I think I might have actually skipped a row of increase when making these shoes. It was a bit tricky to get them on. I was able to stretch them enough to fit with a little help from my crochet hook, so it still worked out in the end. I then fastened the strap to the shoe with a gold brad to create a buttoned effect. And that's her whole outfit done, but I wanted to make her a little accessory. Let's make a tiny broomstick. I started out with a wire frame for the handle, with a loop of wire at the top and 2 loops of wire at the bottom. I used the doll's height for reference to estimate the length of the handle, and I wrapped a couple of layers of wire to strengthen the frame, including around those wire loops at the bottom. Then I covered the wire with yarn, first by wrapping the yarn around the wire, then by crocheting a row over it, starting with the wire loop at the top. This is the same technique I used to make the stems in my tulip flower tutorial, if you want to see this technique in more detail. Once the wire is totally covered, I take a bunch of raffia ribbon, loop it around my hand, and cut a bunch of strands of raffia. Now I'll thread the ribbons through the 2 loops at the bottom of the handle, and repeat that with each ribbon to fill in the loops with raffia. One bunch of the raffia should be facing down from the wire loops at the bottom, and another bunch should be facing up from the wire loops towards the handle. Once satisfied with the amount of raffia on the end of the handle, take another longer length of the raffia and wrap it around the middle of all the ribbon strands on the frame, right over the 2 wire loops on the bottom of the wire handle frame to bind the raffia in place to the frame. Tie off and secure the ends, then trim the excess raffia that's facing the handle. Now to finish up the broom, I'll do the same thing, this time using some jute twine. Wrap the twine around the middle of the raffia, on top of the 2 wire loops on the bottom of the handle frame, and tie off and secure the ends. And now we have a cute tiny witch broom. Finally, there's the little kitty familiar that I mentioned earlier. I have 4 kitties to choose from, but I think she's adopting the black one. And that's it. Now let's put this doll together. I love how this spooky little witch doll turned out, and my little black cat doll is her perfect familiar. She's such a classic looking witch, I feel like making her some tiny spell books and a tiny cauldron. What do you think her name should be? And what about her tiny cat companion? Give me your suggestions in the comments. As always, if you made a project using this or any of my designs, I'd love to see it. You can find my social media links in the description below, or tag me on Instagram at LizFairy. If you liked this video, you could press the like button or share it on social media, and if you'd really like to help out the channel, you can donate to my Patreon. You can get some cool perks from Patreon, like seeing my videos early and ad-free. You can find out more about that at patreon.com/fairyrings. I'd love to make some more witch characters in the future, especially using different kinds of outfits and doll body types. And I have all these kitty familiars left too, so should this witch doll project be a series? Let me know what you think in the comments, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to get notifications every time I post. Thanks so much for watching, have a happy Halloween, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!